Tom Toole, and this is Tom's Take, episode number 9, where we're going to discuss what the newly drafted tax reform plan from President Trump means for the housing market, home ownership, and buyers and sellers looking to make real estate decisions. Now, there's obviously a number of takeaways and a number of reactions that happened as soon as this plan got announced, and this is going to be housing specific. So we know that the number of tax brackets, the proposal is to reduce them from 7 to 3. There's a lot of other things in the plan. This is all about housing. So the first key thing that was noticed was that the mortgage interest deduction will be protected, which is great news for anyone who owns a home. That's one of the larger deductions you see on tax returns, and that will be protected. Secondly, they're looking to double the standard deduction. So the standard deduction, that's the standard amount of money that anyone who does not itemize their tax return. So you submit your tax return normally, you're not claiming expenses, you're not 1099, self-employed. For that person who files in that manner, what that's going to do, it's going to allow them to double the standard deductions they can take from their taxable income, and as a result, pay less taxes. So that sounds certainly like a positive. And the third takeaway is that charitable donations will be protected. So from all that, the reactions from all the experts and all the housing organizations out there that lobby down in Washington came in pretty fast and furious. The president of the NAR came out and said that by doubling the standard deduction and erasing other housing-friendly deductions that come on tax returns, specifically there was talk about eliminating a 1031 exchange and some of the state and local tax benefits to homeowners, that could end up nullifying the entire tax benefit overall of owning a property. The chairman of the National Association of Home Builders came out and said that by doubling the standard deduction, that could marginalize the mortgage interest write-off, and as a result, that would cause demand to decrease for new housing. Now the funny thing is, you hear all these reactions the one way that this is not good, and about a week ago, right before all this came out, the chief economist at Trulia made a comment that tax cuts historically tend to increase demand for housing because there's more money in buyers' pockets, and typically they allocate those funds for housing. So they have more money to spend on housing. So we're seeing there's already some conflicting reports, and here's what's really clear, and here's what I know. None of this is a done deal. Nothing has been passed yet. So despite all these reactions of this is going to be really bad, this is going to be really good, what we know is that nothing's finalized. No one knows what's going to happen here. And what was very clear from watching the news, and you got to have a filter there obviously, because depending on who you watch and who you read, it's going to be slanted left, right, or right down the middle. The consensus was that there's no consensus, meaning that all the lawmakers in Washington, they're not on board with this plan. Even within the party lines, some people didn't like the plan. They didn't like the draft. Others thought it was great. This is by no means the final plan. So what I encourage everyone is, yeah, you want to monitor this closely, but in the short term, things are not going to change. This is more of a long-term change that could happen, and we could be looking at a year, 2 years down the line before we see any changes at all. So if you have any specific questions about this, post them in the comments below. Subscribe, like us, hit us up on social if you want to see any topics covered in the future, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for watching Tom's Take. Speak to you soon.